Hello everyone, good morning, morning-ish, yes. I am doing some cleansing and clearing before we get started with the class. So I'm going to be teaching about light workers and what it means to be a light worker, boundary, shielding, clearing, all of the things that I have learned on my journey. I'll be sharing with everyone. So this is Palo Santo and eucalyptus sage, which is really good for cleansing and clearing. So if you want to accept that, you can say yes, you can say it in your mind, you can say it out loud, you can say it in the chat. And since we'll all be in this healing space together, I want to make sure everybody feels nice and clear. And then if you have any questions or comments as we go along, let me know and I'll be keeping an eye on the chat. And I am doing a TikTok live for everyone who is watching on YouTube. Later, I'll have this posted. So when I'm answering questions, they're coming from the chat and TikTok. Okay, so next we're going to use some incense. And this is Positive Vibes incense. And so that's also really good for cleansing and clearing as well. Okay. All right, next we have Peppermint Spray. Peppermint Spray is really good for helping with mental clarity or if you're experiencing a lot of congestion. Also, if you experience a lot of anxiety, it's good for resetting your central nervous system. And so I'm going to spray this over everyone and myself. All right. I have to get used to not spraying it all over the screen. Okay. All right, and then next we're going to use Florida water. Florida water is not from Florida, it's just called Florida water, and it's really good for protecting your etheric field, your auric field, and your chakra system, and your physical body. So if you want to accept that, you can say yes, you can say it in your mind, you can say it out loud, you can say it in the chats. Okay, well, welcome to Lightworkers 101. Like I said, we're going to be talking about boundaries, shielding, clearing, how to tell you're a light worker, how to work with your spiritual gifts, how to heal yourself, how to heal the collective. So if anybody has any questions or comments as we go along, let me know. I have a slideshow presentation that I'm going to be reading off of that I created. If you would like a copy of the slideshow, I can send it to you. There is a link in my bio for my Instagram. It's soulharmonyhealing, and if you type me a message and say, hey, I'd like that presentation, because it has a ton of resources and links as well, I will send that to you, so you will have along with this recording. And like I said, this will be up on YouTube later. Okay, drink some water here. Everybody needs to drink some water and hydrate. That's very important for light workers, and I'll get more into that. Okay. And I have water music going in the background. Hopefully it's not too loud. If it's too loud or too low, if everybody will let me know. But water is very cleansing and clearing. It's also a really good amplifier if you are doing healing for yourself or for others. And so that's why I have it going in the back. So I know this is inverted. That's another reason why I'll send it in email or through my Instagram, okay? So Lightworkers 101. And I'll be holding this up in the screen as we go along because I have specific pictures to show everyone. Okay. So there is a quote by Henry David Thoreau that I very much love, and he says, could a greater miracle take place than us to look through the eyes of each other for an instant? And so empaths, light workers, and starseeds are all go hand in hand with one another. You do not have to be an empath to be a light worker or a starseed to be an empath or what have you, but generally you are all three if you resonate with one or the other. And so what a gift that we have as an empath and a light worker is to really be able to step into other people's energy bodies and feel how they feel. Like, we know where they're coming from because we literally feel their thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And so sometimes it's seen as a curse because it can be very overwhelming taking on other people's stuff and helping them transmute, even if you're doing it to help them. And so we're going to talk about how to better manage that. But if you know how to manage it and become an empowered light worker, empowered empath, empowered starseed, you can really utilize it for your benefit and for the benefit of the collective. Okay? Give me 1 minute. Okay. So, Next, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. So my name is Brittany Porter, and I am an energy healer. I do Akashic Record readings, Reiki, I do soul retrievals, I do life coaching, like longer term coaching. I love working with chakras and people's energy bodies. And so I'm going to tell you, like I said, a little bit more about me here. Okay, so I'm trying not to get my ring light in here. Okay. So I went to school for psychology. I absolutely love like learning why people think the way they do and why they function. But really I went to psychology to help heal myself because I experienced a lot of trauma as a child. And I said, I need to figure out why this happened to me and like how I can better like grow from this. But also I love helping other people. And so, like I said, I love working with people's energy bodies and their chakra systems. And then the Akashic Records. The Akashic Records are a vibrational record of all of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions across all space, time, and dimensions. So that deals with like karmic cycles, karmic lessons, like soul contracts, things of that nature. So I've been reading those for quite a while now. So this is my dog Daisy. She's a beagle. I love her so much. And this is my dog Mr. Pugs. He's a sweet boy. I love EDM festivals. That's actually, I went to one in 2015 and that's what started my spiritual journey. We don't have to get super into that, but I also like helping people feel empowered. Like taking things that feel like they are cursed, like trauma, or, you know, being a light worker or being an empath and like teaching people like, hey, this is actually a really beneficial thing. Okay. Also, I have son. I don't have a picture of him for privacy reasons, but he's 10 and he is the light of my life. He's also an empath, starseed, light worker. And so I'm teaching him as I go along how to really feel empowered with that. Okay. The person has been my very life. I've been saying these things too. It's okay. Sometimes when I'm typing too, I don't get what I want out. Okay, so what is a light worker? So if you've been resonating with that word, if you heard that word, or empath or starseed, like I said, all of them are very interchangeable with one another, but you don't have to be all three specifically. Okay, so this is going to be like generally over everything. So light workers have a very deep sense of helping other people. So you just feel called to do that. Maybe it's not even professionally. Maybe you just like helping your friends or your family members. Like that means that they come to you for advice all the time and you just naturally feel like you need to help them or you want to help them or you can help them, right? Or you have people out in public like come up to you randomly and like tell you their whole entire life story, and we'll talk about that a little bit, why that happens. But you just have a natural draw to want to help other people in whatever capacity that you can. Like I said, it does not have to be what you do for a living though, but it can be. Okay, so feeling like there is another home, like this is not your home, your origin point, like you were from somewhere else. A lot of times that's because we're also starseeds. So some people incarnate their soul spark, like their first body, on Earth. A lot of light workers incarnate from elsewhere. So maybe that's like Atlantis, Arcturus, Lemuria, like the Pleiades, like you came from somewhere else. Being in a human body is very dense. And so sometimes it makes you feel, it's jarring to your spirit because of the density of Earth. And that's not saying anything bad about Earth. We love it here. We all have purposes and reasons that we came. But if you've been feeling like this is not where I'm from, it's because you soul sparked from somewhere else that had very high vibration. Maybe like you were an energy being instead of actually like in a physical form, if that makes sense, like a light being. Okay. So, people tell you their life story. That's because light workers naturally raise other people's frequencies. So if you have very dense energies in somebody, like they've experienced a lot of trauma, a lot of PTSD, light workers have very big energy fields. And our DNA blueprint is set for us to transmute things from the darkness into the light. And people can feel that. Even if it's on a subconscious level, they can feel that we are going to make them feel better. And we'll get more into like us getting into their subconscious because that's something that we do too. So we can access unconscious information in their bodies and help them sift through those things. Okay. Okay, I get to listen while I'm cleaning, and the little waterfall in the background sounds nice. Good. Okay. So, soul contract. So, yes, we're going to talk about narcissists as well and energy vampires. Okay. So, soul contract, service to mission. Okay. So I believe in soul contracts, and that's where you plan out what you're going to do here and what you're going to experience before you incarnate. And so a lot of times the light workers have done this over and over and over again in different incarnations, whether that be here or other planetary dimension systems, right? But like that's something that you just signed up for as a spirit. And maybe you don't do it in every lifetime, but generally, like, you are a very wise being, like beyond your years. And that is because you have accumulated all of those experiences and years worth of knowledge, because you've been doing this for like millennia, like over and over and over again. And so that's why you have that natural pull to help people. Okay. Unity consciousness. So we are moving from divine masculine, like, well, not even divine masculine, like masculine energy into like divine feminine energy. So when I say divine masculine energy, that's like hustle, grind, make things happen, like push, 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 right? And divine feminine energy is trusting in self, trusting in the universe, trusting in your intuition, going with the flow, divine timing, like things of that nature. And so they're both needed, like divine masculine, divine feminine, inspired action, flow. Okay, but we've been like so far into the divine masculine, and it's not working anymore. That is a lot of separateness consciousness. And so we are moving to unity consciousness, which is divine feminine. And so a lot of light workers have incarnated during this time to help people go into unity consciousness and move into 5D and the higher dimensions. And so if you're a light worker and you're like, I know I'm here for a reason, most of the time it's because you were meant to help with the shift in consciousness. Okay, my earrings are like dangling all over the place. Okay, so big energy fields. So generally people have an energy field that extends 6 feet in front of them. Light workers have a very big, massive field. And that's why we can feel into like rooms and say like, what's the energy of this room? Or like if you're in a Walmart and you're like, it's real crazy and chaotic in here, because you can feel the whole energy of the whole entire space and all the people within it. So we have very big energy fields. We draw a lot of things to us. In saying that, we're great manifestors. What we speak is what we receive. Very powerful. So that also means, though, that if we're speaking negatively, we will pull negative things into our life. So you have to be very mindful of your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions as a light worker, because we're just naturally pull things in very easily. Amen. Okay. We are, like I said, we're transmuters of energy. Like it's in our DNA blueprints to help transmute lower, denser frequencies. Like that's just something that we naturally do. And that's not saying that light workers are above anyone or below anyone. We just, you know how some people have a natural inborn talent for something, like maybe you play the violin. And like anybody can play the violin. But if you have an innate ability, like maybe your parents like pass through the DNA that you're musically inclined, it's the same for light workers. Like you just are more inclined to do these things. Okay. Like I said, wise beyond your years. People say like, oh, you're a really old soul, or you give really good advice, or, you know, you come from such like a loving, giving space. It's because you've done this over and over and over in different incarnations. Okay. Right. All right, so signs you might be a light worker. We're just going to run through all these to see if they resonate. You don't have to resonate with every single one of them. I just wanted to give a good overall scope. And so if you feel like, oh, a lot of these are me, that might be a good indication that you're a light worker, okay? Friends often ask you for advice. You prefer deep conversation over small talk. You're a good listener. Nature soothes you. You require a lot of alone time to recharge. You feel drawn to help others. You get strong impressions off of someone. So that means like if I'm having a conversation with someone I just met, like in an instant, you know if you're gonna vibe with that person or not. Or if they're holding on to like a lot of internal anger or sadness, like you can read them very easily. Okay, hey Jenny. You find yourself thinking of someone and they contact you. And so we are prepped and primed because we have big energy fields that we can tap into frequencies that a lot of other people have more of a difficult time tapping into. And so that also means that you can sense into the etheric and astral realms. Like you think somebody's about to call you and they do, it's because you are picking up on those frequencies. That's a gift of being a light worker. You know when things are going to happen. Or you, like, let's say you're going to go to a party and you're like, I got a feeling like something isn't going to go right there. It's because you're tapping through the etheric astral field, okay? The weather affects your mood. So if it's like really, you know, rainy and cloudy outside, maybe it makes you sad. Or if it's really sunny and bright, it makes you feel energized, okay? Phone calls happen all the time. Yeah, that happens to me too. Strangers tell you their life story. Again, that's because they sense that you're a healer. They can feel your energy field. And so they're like, let me come and talk to this person because they're going to make me feel great. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. You have many highs and lows. So your energy is like up here and then you're down. And then your energy is up here and then you're down. So we'll talk about that a little bit more too. Emotions make you physically ill. So if you're around somebody that's very angry, you come home and now all of a sudden you feel sick. Or somebody's really sad and now all of a sudden you don't feel well. You feel nauseous. Okay. You overthink everything. Like you're constantly overanalyzing things in self. Setting boundaries can be difficult because we just want to help everyone and everything that we possibly can. Unable to watch violent cinema. So that's like if you're watching things that have like a lot of violence or they're very angry or people are screaming or there's like torture or trauma, like you can't watch that because you can literally physically feel it in your body and it affects your energy. Mood changes based on surroundings. So like maybe you go to a restaurant with your friend and it's like, yay, fun, having a good time. And then you go to Target and all of a sudden, down. So like surroundings and environment really have a big effect on you too, and like the people. Crowds overwhelm you. So like light workers sometimes have a really difficult time going to like malls, or if it's really crowded at the movies or things of that nature, just because you can sense everybody and everything. So it can be very overwhelming. And you feel drained at the end of the day. Like you have no energy. That's because you are absorbing too much from other people. Okay. So those are just some signs. You don't have to resonate with all of those, but I have found in my work with people, with light workers, that this is a lot of what they experience. Okay. Description of me to a T, rarely go shopping. Yes, we're going to talk about how to manage that. Okay. Okay, how it affects your body. So this is how our energy body looks. So that's our physical body, and that's our energy field outside of us. Okay. So like I said, most people have energy bodies that are 6 feet outside of them. Light workers have really, really, really big energy fields. Okay. So you may need to set up energetic shields to prevent taking on others' energy. Very important shielding for light workers. Shielding, clearing, and boundaries. Like those 3 things are the most important things that you can possibly do for yourself, is learn how to do that. And I'll explain those. Okay, if you get anxious or stressed around others and have sudden mood changes, this is an indicator that you're taking on someone else's energy. Okay, so if your moods are like all over the place, but when you're by yourself in your home, your moods aren't like that, it's because other people are affecting your energy body. If you feel drained at the end of the day, especially if you interact with a lot of people, like maybe you're a nurse, maybe you're a caretaker, like in a senior living home, maybe you work in the service industry, or the customer service, you're like constantly interacting with people, it's because you're like taking on their stuff all the time. And then at the end of the day, it's like your central nervous system is like burnt out. It's like, I can't deal with that anymore, okay? And thank you for all the likes, everyone, and for sharing. I know people get in so they can learn and heal as well. Okay, So when you take on, I'm going to show you the picture first. Okay, so this is the cycle that we get in. Okay, so we worry about something or fear something, like being around other people. Your adrenal glands click on. You get cortisol, right? And then your brain starts to go into fight or flight, your central nervous system, and then you start feeling the symptoms, and the symptoms make you worry, fear all over again. And so when we're taking on people's stuff, our bodies do not know that if you don't have good boundaries, clearing, shielding, our bodies do not know the difference between other people's stuff and our stuff. And so basically what's happening is you're taking on other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions and processing it through your body like it's your own stuff. So you're doing double the amount of shadow work that you need to do, basically. And so and when you get stressed like that and you're taking on too much or you're not clearing it out, it crystallizes and hardens in your body. And then it becomes disease. It becomes physical ailments. It becomes physical symptoms. It becomes anxiety. It becomes depression. Like a lot, before I found out I was an empath and a light worker, I was very much anxious and depressed. Like I was in a deep, deep, dark hole. And when I found this out, I was like, oh, all this stuff that I thought was mine is not actually mine. And when I started really delving into like how to hold boundary, shielding, and clearing, it changed my life forever. Like I now can go out in public and be very safe and secure in my own energy body and not let people affect me like that. And the anxiety and the depression very much alleviated. And that's not saying that I also had a ton of shadow work I needed to do. Like a lot of shadow work that I was bypassing. So I don't need to take this as like a cure-all. You gotta do the shadow work and learn boundary shielding and clearing. But it does significantly help you mitigate throughout the world, okay? Oh, your daughter is dealing with this? I'm going to have this up on YouTube, the replay, if you want to show it to her. I don't know how old your daughter is, though, so use discretion with that. Okay. All right. So we can get addicted to negative cycles and stress. Like I was addicted to stress. Sorry about my nose. I was addicted to stress because we use it as fuel. Like if I stress myself out to the max capacity, I will get things done. Like that is how I get up and go. However, that is very toxic to your mental, spiritual, physical, emotional body. Like very toxic because that leads to mega burnout and anxiety and depression. Like we have to find ways to fuel ourselves like with positive reinforcements instead of negative cycles. Like procrastination was a big thing of mine. Like I would wait until the very last second because I knew it would make my central nervous system kick on, and then I would like do it, but then I was reinforcing it because I would always get it done. And I'm like, oh, this was great. Like it turned out fine. I'd get an A on whatever it is or get the project done, but then I'm burnt out for like 3 weeks. Okay. All right. So empowered light workers. So like I said, we are very prone to becoming anxious and depressed because we take on other people's stuff, their energy, and then our body doesn't know the difference. Okay. And so light work yourself. And what I mean by that is a lot of times light workers think that they have to help other people. Okay. It is better for you to focus on self in healing yourself and helping yourself, because that's doing more for the collective than you coming out from burnout spaces where you don't like being around people and interacting. Like Mother Gaia would much rather you like focus internally, because that is also helping the collective. You are the collective and the collective is you. So you raising your personal vibration and your frequency does more for the collective than you helping other people and coming from burnout spaces, if that makes sense. And so like self-preservation is key. And we're going to get into that a little bit more. Like a lot of times light workers and empaths and starseeds think that they have to be servants to others. And when I say servants to others, like it's my mission to help other people. You need to help yourself first before you're helping others. And I had to learn that lesson. Like I was giving, but never giving to self and filling my own cup back up. And so it just led to burnout and me not being around other people, because I knew people equated exhaustion. And so I was like self-fulfilling prophecy of loneliness and anxiety and depression, because I was not pouring back into my own cup. My light outside of myself, my light energy field was so small and shrunk down and dimmed because I wasn't taking care of myself. Okay. So if all you do is take care of you, that's okay, because what will eventually happen is you fill your energy tanks back up, and now you are able to help other people. Okay, so it's like filling your batteries to help. Okay, so internal reality and external reality. So your external reality out here is a representation of what's going on internally. Right? So just like I was talking about, I wasn't giving enough to myself, so I was bringing in people and experiences and outcomes outside that were taking my energy. So everything that's going on in here changes what's going on out here. Like the people, the places, the like things that you experience in life, like your vibration and your frequency dictate those things. Okay? So global energies. So one of the reasons that Lightworkers and Empaths and Starseeds cannot watch the news is because we're connected into the collective grid. And so a lot of times you have psychic abilities, you have spiritual abilities, and so you're not only connecting with people in that way of feeling thoughts, feelings, and emotions, but you're connected into the whole. And so when there's major traumatic events, like what's going on in Ukraine right now, like we can feel that even on the other side of the world, because we are connected into the whole grid. And so when you're watching news, not saying to bypass and not do what you can and help where you can, but if you're constantly absorbing negativity, right, it brings down your light. I'm just going to say that, okay? We will have to watch on YouTube. Oh, okay, enjoy. I hope your granddaughter enjoys her nap. But that's global energy that you're picking up on, not just like interactions day to day with people, okay? Or if there's like real crazy stuff, not crazy stuff, if there's wild stuff going on in your town, you are tapped into that as well, okay? So that's why environment is really important for light workers. Okay, turning down your light field. This is something that I learned along my journey, is that I was walking around with a big open light field that anybody could step into and feed off of. And when I say feed off of, I don't mean that my light field, I'm trying to say shield and field. My light field off. Okay? You don't have to help everybody and everything all the time. Like sometimes you just need to go to the grocery store and get groceries and not have people looking at you constantly and trying to engage with you. Like that is very overwhelming and exhausting. And if I let that happen all the time, okay. Before you go in somewhere, turn it off or turn it down. Like maybe you envision that there's like a dial inside, right? Like turn it down and say like, I'm not doing that while I'm in here or when I'm going to this party. Like I am that we'll get into boundaries and shielding a little bit more, but you have power over your own energy body. And that's what I find a lot of light workers don't think that they have power over their energy body or haven't been taught how. You can literally tell your own body, I am not going to do that. I'm turning my field down. I do not want to interact with people like that. Okay? Oh. Now all of my internet's acting wonky. Hold on. There we go. Okay. So intentionally tell yourself, I'm turning my light field down. You can turn it on, you can turn it off whenever you want. You can turn it up, you can turn it down. Okay? And when I started doing that, like when I go into Walmart and I say, turning it off, then I can go in, do what I need to do, and leave without having all of those eyes on me, without people like trying to engage with me, right? Okay, chakras. This is really, really important for light workers. Like if you want to really get a handle on your abilities, either that psychic abilities, spiritual abilities, like your abilities of being a light worker. Learning about your chakra system is like so very important. Like your main 7, your root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, crown chakra. You can watch YouTube videos about them, but the more you delve into that, the better handle you will have on your system. And I have a whole big starter pack of videos in an email. And if anybody's interested in that, you can reach out to me on Instagram and I'll send you the list. It's like all the videos that I watched at the beginning of my journey and that have helped me. They're like beginner videos, but that right there will significantly help you. Okay. So filling up your own cup, like I said, we can't pour from an empty cup. It leads to burnout. So I'm going to use this example. So if we're on an airplane together and the airplane is going down, okay, do you put on your oxygen mask first or do you put on somebody else's oxygen mask? Because you can't help anybody if you're passed out. Okay, just like in the collective, like you can't help other people if your batteries are completely drained. You don't want to help people. You don't want to be around other people because it's exhausting. And so you need to put your oxygen mask on first. Okay, so we'll get more into that a little bit, how you can do that. Equal energy exchanges. Okay, so this is a big one. It's very important who is in your inner circle and who is in your outer circle, because we are the accumulative of the top 5 people that we hang out with the most. Like, or the average, that's what I was trying to say. We're the average of the top 5 people we hang out with the most, because we get very intermeshed and intertwined with their energy bodies, and they influence our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And so if you have people inside your inner circle, like outer circle is acquaintances and people that you don't maybe open yourself up to as much or aren't as vulnerable with, right? Or spend as much time with. The people who are inside here, if those people are takers, like take, that will put you in anxiety and depression. You have to have your inner circle people that love you, support you, encourage you, that say, you know what, I don't know how you're going to do that, maybe if it's a project, but I know you will. Like, are 100% backing you. And what this looks like is, like, if you have a friend or a family member or loved one, I know you can't just get rid of family and loved ones. Sometimes you have friends that will be like 20 years, okay? But sometimes you have to redesign that relationship with that person, okay? So if you have somebody that is constantly negative and asking for your advice and asking for your support and is never taking your advice and just complain, right? And you're like giving, that is a taking relationship, okay? If you have somebody that loves and supports you and asks for your help, right, with something, they ask for your help, you give it to them, and now you, when you need love, support, hype, you ask them and they give it to you. That is an equal energy exchange. Like, equal energy exchanges, you always feel good around that person. Like, there's no questions about their intentions or their morals or their values. Like, you know exactly where you stand with that person, and you always feel great after interacting with them. Even if it's them talking about trauma, you feel good after that interaction because you are growing together and you are supporting one another. If you have a bunch of energy vampires around you, you're going to feel like boo-boo all the time. Okay, and that was me. Like, I had a lot of people like that in my inner circle. Now, in saying that, we have to take responsibility for why we're letting those people in. Because, okay, so like for me, I was masking who I was. Like, I wasn't really showing people. And I was so afraid of abandonment and not feeling loved that I would take whoever would come into my reality and my paradigm and befriend them. And so we were not a vibrational match because I wasn't showing them who I really was. I was showing them this PowerPoint presentation of myself. And so, like, we never matched up. And so I was like giving because I was so afraid of being alone and being, you know, like sad and depressed. But it was causing sadness and depression because I had friends that weren't actually in alignment with me. Okay. You said my earrings reinforce that. Okay. like I said, sometimes like illnesses, I know somebody said I have an illness and I feel like it's blocking me. Sometimes like illnesses are because we are experiencing anxiety and depression and stress, and it crystallizes in our body and then comes out as disease. Not saying that's every time, I'm just saying sometimes that's the culprit. Okay. Okay. The power of no. Okay. So as Lightworkers and Empaths and Starseeds, we don't like saying no to people because we sometimes feel like we want to help others in whatever capacity that we can. So we just say yes, 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 yes to everything and everyone, right? Because we don't want them to feel bad, or we don't want them to feel like we don't like them. I have learned along my journey, I don't have time for everyone and everything, or the energy. Like, my energy fluctuates, right? Sometimes I have a lot of energy for a week, and then sometimes not, depending on like what I'm experiencing in life. And so something that I've found that is very beneficial is when somebody asks me to do something, I say, I need to look at my calendar. I will get back to you. I always get back to them. I tell them. But sometimes when you're first starting on this journey, it's very hard to tell someone no in person. Okay? So if you can create some distance and tell someone no over a text or over the phone, right? You're not like right in front of them. You can just say, I will get back to you. I need to look at my calendar. That has saved me so much time and energy of doing things that I don't have the energy for, or I don't want to do, right? But you don't want to be, I know people feel like, oh, I don't want to be rude, or, they're going to think that it's about them. And that's where you get into like, I can feel that they feel like it's about them. Tell them, I'm going to look at my calendar and I'm going to get back to you, and get back to them. Like, tell them. But then like, you don't have to do that, get in that fight or flight and be like, oh, okay, yes. Okay. You don't have that draw or that guilt to say yes to them in that moment. Like, just stop saying yes to people in person or in that moment. It really significantly helps. Okay. Again, waiting to answer. That's what I was going to say. Waiting to answer. I have also learned that if I do things I don't want to do, I always regret it later. Like, always regret it later, because we're very intuitive beings, and our body most of the time will tell us if we want to do something. So if you feel expansive when somebody asks you to do something, great, go with that. If you feel constricted, that is your body trying to tell you that that is not in alignment with who you are, right? And so every time that you say yes to that, you are discounting and disempowering your intuition and yourself. You need to not do the things you don't want to do. And I'm not saying like, okay, I'll give you an example. So I went out with some people and it was a really fun time. And then they're like, let's go do something else afterwards. I was very tired. And at first I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go. But my body was like, we need to go home and rest. And so I told them like, hey, this doesn't have anything to do with y'all. I'm burnt out. I need to go home. I want to lay on my couch and take a bath. And they're like, okay. Years ago, I would have just forced myself to go because I would feel guilty or like they don't like me, right? But now I'm at the point where like, if they don't understand that, then they don't need to be in my inner circle. Like, people have different energies, right? And you need to be respectful of their time and their energy as well. It doesn't mean anything about them. It doesn't mean anything about you. You just need to do what's best for self. Self-preservation. Okay, so then you do have the energy to go do the things you want. Okay, so shielding. We're going to talk about shielding as well. Okay, energy vampires. Energy vampires oftentimes are people that are taking your energy from you. And so this could look like them constantly asking you for support or for guidance, or just being like complaining all the time. They're trying to tear you down, right? Because they see your light and they want some of it. So they're trying to invoke a reaction in you, because that means that they can feed off of that energy. Okay. And so gaslighting is a big one. So that's where somebody makes you question your reality, your truth. And so that could look like, this is very simple, but like if somebody bought a bag of apples, right? Like me and my partner, like I bought a bag of apples, the apples disappear, and you're like, where are the apples? And that person's like, what apples? You didn't buy any apples. And then like you start to question yourself, like, did I buy the apples? Right? And they will make you think that your truth is not actually real. Okay, so that's a form of gaslighting. That happens a lot in relationships, like romantic relationships sometimes when you're in one with a narcissist. Not taking responsibility. So like they incur hurt on you, like they hurt you, and they don't take responsibility for that. They say like, oh, you're too sensitive, or I didn't mean it that way, I'm just joking. Like, no. We can feel people's intentions, like we know what you meant, right? Okay, so doesn't respect your boundaries. That's where you ask them not to say something, not to treat you a certain type of way, and they do it anyway. They just completely disrespect your boundaries. Okay, these people often have times like nervous energy, like shaky, nervous energy when you're around them, and you don't feel good around them, even if you love them. Okay, because as lightworkers and empaths, starseeds, we're naturally drawn to narcissists because we love helping people and we like giving, and narcissists like taking. And so we get in these cycles, right? And I realized that I was letting a lot of empaths into my life, or narcissists into my life, because I had a savior complex. I was like, oh, I can see past all of your hurt at like the inner child inside, or the healed version of you. And so like I have to be very understanding about, you know, why you're talking to me this way, why you're treating me this way. Let me show you all this love, care, and compassion, because maybe that will help raise your frequency and your vibration, and maybe you'll come from a different space. No, everybody has choice. Okay, so I was choosing to let those narcissists into my life, and those narcissists were choosing to feed off of me, but that was because I was letting them do it, right? Like, you can see somebody's higher self, but that doesn't mean that they're going to meet you on this plane. Like, everybody has their own personal choice. All right, so it's people will treat you how you let them treat you. You let narcissists eat off of your energy, they will. Okay, and narcissists and empaths. So narcissists teach empaths and lightworkers and starseeds how to hold boundaries and speak in their truth, hold their truth, and be powerful. Empaths teach narcissists what unconditional love means. Okay, but if you stay in those cycles together, like sometimes they are beneficial because they help each other learn and grow and step into like their higher self versions. But sometimes, like, if you stay in that savior complex and taker cycle, like, sometimes that can be very detrimental. Very, very detrimental. Same long-term relationship with two narcissists and almost broke me and no better now. Yeah. People will treat you however you let them treat you. Right? And that's not saying that, like, abuse and things like that, like, you're letting that happen to you necessarily. Right? Like, I'm not saying that, because I have been in abusive relationships as well. And that's a different story, right? But it's like you have to ask yourself, am I craving love and attention like so much and thinking that I can change this other person that I am just letting myself get beat down into the ground because of it? Okay. Narcissists are not the enemy, they're the duality. That's right. It is 100% dualism there. Okay. Energy vampires crave drama and like they like to stir it up because that's what they feed off of, is like that energy, and they crave attention. So that's why sometimes you feel like they're poking at you, trying to make you angry and upset, because that is how they get energy from you. Okay, they always try and one up you. Like, you tell them a story or an accomplishment and they're always trying to like tell you, oh, well, this is what I did. Like, not in a supportive, encouraging way, right? Because, and that's different from people that have ADHD, because ADHD conversations are like very experiential based. Like, I tell you a story, you tell me a story, I tell you a story, you tell me a story. But narcissists and energy vampires like try and belittle you and your accomplishments, okay, by saying like, okay, well, you did that, but I did this. Okay. Victim mentality. This is where narcissists are like, oh, the world's treating me like boo-boo, and so that's why, you know, I come from these spaces of like treating people like this, or this is why I have anger issues, or this is why I have sadness. Like, we all experience trauma. Like, trauma is relative to you, and we all go through difficult things. So you can make a personal choice of whether you want to treat other people like boo-boo because of that, or if you want to figure out what you got going on in your own energy body and heal yourself and help other people. Like, that's choice. Okay? Sometimes you get in those real deep, dark holes, like I was in, but I was never trying to inflict pain on others. Like, my intention was, I want to help other people because I've been in this space, in this place before. Like, don't let those narcissists and energy vampires say, like, oh, well, I act like that because of this. Like, we all have choice, okay? They exploit kindness and politeness. Like, sometimes they're very manipulative, and they use your kindness against you, okay? So you have to be mindful, like, is this person trying to use me for my light? Okay? Reading subtext. Okay, I'm hoping I can get through all this before it dies. Okay, so reading subtext. When you're out in public, sometimes light workers feel very paranoid, like other people are staring at them. And that's because they feel our light fields. And so they're like, oh, let me turn my attention and my consciousness towards this person. This is not like an egotistical thing. This is just like they feel a healer come into the room. And so they are looking at this person like, why does this person feel different than the other people around me, right? So it causes people to look at you in your direction. So when I would go out into public, I had mega social anxiety because I felt like people were always staring at me, and they were. And I couldn't figure out why. I was like, oh, this must just be for everybody. Like, everybody stares at everybody. But once I heard that from somebody else, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Okay? We are mirrors for people. So a lot of times when we have interactions with other people, we feel like they don't like us. Okay? That is because we reflect back to them the things that need to be healed within them, like at a unconscious level, like in the subconscious. So like if Susie has inner child work that needs to be sifted through, when they have a conversation with us, we are looking through the lenses of how can we say, what can we say, and how can we make Susie feel like she can get through this inner child stuff. So we like naturally start talking about things that can help heal the inner child. Well, if that person isn't ready to go through that healing, they push their energy away from us. And so that's where you feel like people don't like you. They're like pushing, like, ugh, I don't want to do that. I didn't sign up for that, right? Like, no. And so sometimes that's the feeling. Now, as light workers, we can get into people's subconscious. We can root down in there and figure out why this person is coming from that space, acting like that, saying those things. Like, we just know what is going on there. Does that mean that that person is conscious of that? No. No. Like, a lot of times that person doesn't know or is aware of those things even. Like, but we are. And so when we're talking to somebody up here, like conscious them, right? And we're going down here into their subconscious, when we speak to one another, the frequencies aren't aligned. We're not on the same wavelength. We're not speaking the same language. They don't literally understand what we're saying because we're talking to their subconscious, not talking to their conscious up here. And so a lot of times light workers are like, I love deep conversations. Like, I love getting in very deeply with people. Not everybody wants to do that because not everybody has gone that deeply within themselves. And that's not saying we're above or below anybody. It's just light workers are very hyper self-aware, always analyzing ourselves and like how we can heal. Not everybody is on that same life track, right? And we're not always meant to step onto somebody's soul contract and help them. Like aha moments with people, like, you know, when you have an aha moment, it's the best feeling in the world. It's like, I figured it out, right? If you're a light worker and you're like trying to superimpose on someone and tell them like, this is how you fix this, or have you thought about it in this perspective, or, you know, whatever, you're taking that aha moment from them. Like, maybe that's not part of their journey, is to spiritually awaken. Or maybe they're not ready to go that deep within themselves. And so you forcing them to do that is taking that away from them, that aha moment. Or maybe like they won't, like I said, they won't, they won't reach that step in their journey until later on. It's just we have the natural ability to read them like that, right? And so you have to decide when you're having conversations with people, is this person going to be receptive to me helping them with their subconscious, or are they not? And if they're not, don't do that. Like, you don't have to help everyone and everything. Like, sometimes you can just have a conversation with someone and they tell you what's going on and you say, wow, that's crazy, or that's wild. I'm trying not to use crazy. That's wild. Like, I'm sorry you're dealing with that. Like, you getting into people's subconscious and helping them on that level is very exhausting if it's not an equal energy exchange. Like, it takes a lot of energy to get in there with people like that. And so my suggestion is, like I said, when you have interactions with people, say, is this person tapped into their subconscious or are they not? And if the answer is no, don't go in there like that with them. Okay? It can be more of a topical conversation. You don't have to be everyone's counselor, okay? Or life coach. Okay? Save that for the people that you do have equal energy exchanges with, or that you do know you can get, or are tapped into their own subconscious. Okay? So like I said, when you're talking to someone like that, you're talking to them on a wavelength that they're not on. So they're not hearing you, they're not understanding you. It makes them feel like you're invading their space, invading their privacy. I don't want somebody doing that, right? Unless I am more open to it. And so, like I said, ask yourself those questions. So, downshifting. Downshifting is, I learned this along my way, downshifting is when somebody comes into your fields and you feel their energy shift. Like, all of a sudden they're sad, right, or angry. What they're doing is they are getting into those subconscious feelings and asking you to transmute it for them. So I'll give you an example. So I was around somebody and he was like happy, everything is fine. And then we start talking with one another and all of a sudden he's sad. And he starts talking about something like that he's been through recently. Now, I know that that person was not tapped into their subconscious as much, and so whatever I'm trying to counsel that person with isn't going to be received like what I can do, like my abilities. And so I made a conscious decision, like, oh, I'm so sorry that you're going through that. That sounds really tough. And then that was it. That was it. That was the whole interaction. And then that person went on their way. So frequency-wise, that person was asking me to help lift them up. And I made a conscious choice of no. Like, not saying not to help other people. Like, that's a beautiful gift that we have, but you only have so much energy every day. So much energy and so much time. And so you have to utilize it for your benefit, right? Because you're helping self and the people that you're meant to help with the equal energy exchanges. Then you have time and energy for them, okay? So another way to ask yourself or to figure out if somebody is like not good for you, or if it's an energy vampire, or if an environment is infecting you, is to say, how did I feel before this? So ask yourself, how did I feel before I walked into the store? How did I feel before I had this interaction with this person or this conversation? How did I feel before I watched this movie or I received this text message? So that's a beautiful, beautiful way to figure out how things are affecting you. So every time you walk into the store, take a note. Like, how do I feel right now? If you are going to go talk to your friend and go hang out, how do I feel right now? Okay, going to have the interaction. How do I feel afterwards? And so you start to get a better handle on how external things are affecting your internal state. All right. Being a light worker is a blessing. So we have increased intuition. So we are naturally prepped and primed because we have these big energy fields. We are tapped into like extrasensory abilities, and we're able to read our own energy and read other people's energy at a much deeper level. And so because we're tapped into our own energy body a lot more, we have that increased intuition. Like, we just know when things are going to happen or how people are going to act or react, right? It's a way for us to interact with our outer reality. Spiritual gifts. Like, we are really good at, like I said, working with other people and mediumship, tarot, oracle, reading people's chakra systems, Akashic Records, astrology. Like, those are all frequencies that people read. So, like, I don't read astrology frequencies. I read Akashic Record frequencies and chakra frequencies, but maybe you read tarot frequencies. Like, those are all different wavelengths that people tap into. So because we have really big energy fields and feel into ourselves and other people like that, we are naturally, like, healers. And that's why we're drawn to a lot of those things, okay? That's why we become energy healers. A lot of light workers become energy healers because they're like, I have this gift, I have this ability, how can I help other people and help myself, right? Feeling into creativity. Creativity is its own frequency and wavelength. And so, like, light workers and starseeds and empaths, like, people think it's a curse, and sometimes, like, it's a negative thing. But on the flip side of that, like the pendulum, right? We can feel into things on a much greater depth. So, like, when we listen to music, we can feel it in our soul. When we create art, it's like a piece of us. Like, we feel the feelings and emotions and intentions off of someone's artwork, right? Like, anything that is a creative outlet, we really feel into that in a deep, deep, deep level. So that's part of the blessing. Okay. Increased awareness. Light workers and starseeds and empaths are very hyper aware of themselves. Like, very hyper aware. Like, we're always diving in deep, saying, like, how can I heal myself on a deeper level? How can I learn more? How can I become more wise? Right? Because we read how our personal frequency projects and how we're doing it internally in our brain, in our body, in our spirit, in our mind, emotions. And so we're just very hyper aware of self. Okay. Collective ripple effect. You heal yourself, you heal the collective, you heal other people, because when you are coming from a more healed space, light work yourself. When you are coming from a more healed space, every single person that you have an interaction with comes from you being from a more healed space. So they're more healed when they talk to you. Like, if you raise your vibration, your frequency up here, the people you interact with are now inside of your field, which is coming from a much lighter vibration and frequency. And you're saying things that are more high vibration. You are acting from a more higher vibration, which also shifts who is brought into your reality. Like, the experiences and the outcome and the people start to change as well. Okay. All right. Stepping into your power. So this is where boundary shielding and clearing come in. Like, if you are a light worker and you're just not taking care of self and learning these things, like, I'm not saying like it's your fault that you haven't done it. Like, a lot of times people just don't know. Like, I didn't know what those things meant. I didn't know what those things were, right? But it's your responsibility to figure it out and to take care of self, because that is how you heal, that is how you grow, that is how you get through these feelings of anxiety and depression. Instead of just, like, taking the world on as it is, like, you are the creator of your reality, right? And that's creator of self as well. So people, like I said, people will treat you how you let them treat you. So if you let people treat you some type of way, they will. And it's not that person's fault. Not saying that for abusers and things of that nature. I'm just saying, like, people who diss you, talk slickly to you, don't respect your energy, don't respect your time. If you let them do that, you're giving them permission to do that. It's nothing that, like, they asked you to do. That's just the dynamic of your relationship with that person. Okay? So you may have to redesign those relationships. Choosing yourself. Self-preservation is key. You are the most important person in your life. I know a lot of times when we have kids, like I have a son, or we have partners, or we have friends, or we have people that we're taking care of or helping, we're like, oh, well, that person is so important, and we pedestalize them. You are the most important person. You cannot help other people if you are not helping self. You are doing a disservice to them, because you could be helping them in an even greater capacity if you were helping you first. So sometimes that looks like not going to things to take care of yourself. We're not helping people with things. Like, you have to better mitigate your energy in order to be of a service to other people. Okay? Internal validation. So I was interacting with people who were not in alignment with me because I was seeking others' approval of self. Like, I had such low confidence and so like low self-esteem because I went through a lot of trauma as a child where I was like abandoned. There was just a lot going on, and so I was reaching for external validation from people. And it was only until I focused within and gave myself internal validation, like, I'm gonna be okay either way. Like, even if I'm alone by myself, I need to work on relationship with self, and I will be my own best friend. When you start coming from that space and start seeking internal validation, the things around you completely change, because all of those things outside of you are a representation of what's going on in here. So if you look down on yourself and don't love yourself and have feelings of like unworthiness and feeling like you like don't belong and like mask and things of that nature, it draws people into you that are like that, or experiences. Like, I drew all of that stuff into myself. Like, I did that. It took me a long time to like dissect that, right? But it's not my fault, and it's not your fault. Like, there's so much stuff that happens when we're children from our environment and our parents and our family and our friends that like influence us and program us and inflict trauma onto us. Like, it's not your fault that those things happen, but it's your responsibility to heal those things, right? Nobody's gonna do it but you. Okay, finding your homeostasis point. So this is why Lightworkers and Empaths and Starseeds need so much alone time, because we are so greatly impacted by other people, right? We have to have alone time to figure out, like, what does our energy look like when it's only us? When it's just me sitting at home. Okay? It's because when I'm just sitting at home by myself, my energy is way different than when I'm interacting out in the world. And so I was in a space for a long time where I could never be by myself. Like, I always had to be around people, always had to be doing something, doing this, doing that, doing projects, all these things, because I didn't like being with myself. I didn't like being with the thoughts and the feelings and the emotions. But it wasn't until I sat with those things and learned how to be by myself that I was like, okay, this is who I am at a soul level. Now, when I go out and interact with people, I know when my energy is shifting, when that's not me, right? I know when other people are making my feelings and thoughts and emotions different, because I know what it feels like to be by myself, okay? All right. Okay, if my tablet dies, I will be back on momentarily, okay? So, daily clearing routine. So, shielding is so very important. So, I'm going to talk about that a little bit and what you can do to help mitigate these things. So, peace of mind moments. So, in the morning time, if you are a very anxious person and you have a lot of like monkey mind going, like just so many thoughts like all over the place, something that I have found that is very beneficial is to get out a sheet of paper, like first thing in the morning, like before you do anything at all, is take out the sheet of paper and write down every single thought. It doesn't matter what the thought is, if it's positive, if negative, if it's random words, like whatever it is. Your thoughts in your mind take up space and they take up energy. And so if you take all of that and you dump it out, right, like you're transmuting it up out of your body and onto a piece of paper, what happens is you have more energy and space in your body. And so when I did that, I did it for like 30 days straight, and like I had the best days. Like, I was starting from a clear place of mind. Okay, so get out a sheet of paper, write down everything. Doesn't matter what it is that you have to do before you get on your phone, before you interact with the world, before you talk to anybody, like when you're in your homeostasis point. Okay, so the violet flame. So the violet flame is the highest transmuter of lower, denser energies. Like, it is the clearer of all. The person who is the keeper of the violet flame, we're going to get a little esoteric here. So the keeper of the violet flame, that is Saint Germain. So Saint Germain, I'm going to read this bit at the bottom. It says, karma releasing, move beyond drama, create your own path, make room for good energy. So working with Saint Germain, he's a great person to ask to be on your spirit team if you believe in spirit guides. He comes in and he helps build a violet flame shield around you. So when you are in the shower in the morning and before you start your day, you can ask the violet flame to come in and envelop you and say, can you transmute any lower, denser energies and help protect myself from other people and other beings, right? And help protect my light. Okay, so the purple violet flame, like I highly suggest looking that up and working with it. That is how I started working with shielding, is invoking the violet flame to come in and envelop me and protect me. Okay, and Saint Germain. He's great. He's very sweet. Okay, so your chakras, like I said, chakras are so important. Like learning about your chakra system, because we are so tapped in and tuned into ourselves. If you start researching and learning about chakras, it will greatly expand your gifts, your psychic gifts, your spiritual gifts, your shielding, your boundaries, your clearing, because you can literally feel into each one of your energy points and know when you're blocked up, or when something needs to be cleared, or when it's foggy, or maybe if it's like overactive. Like you'll know exactly what is going on inside of your body. Okay, like if you go to Reiki practitioners or energy readers, like that's something you can teach yourself how to do. And so if anybody wants chakra information, send me a message on Instagram and I'll send you an email of like a whole bunch of resources. Okay, so a Merkaba. So this is also something that I currently work with and I teach other people. So this is a Merkaba here. Oop. Okay, this is a Merkaba. You can see like it's a triangle and one way goes this way and then one way goes down. Okay, so Merkabas are energetic transportation vehicles. So it's like the top rotates clockwise and the bottom rotates counterclockwise. And so it creates like an energy vortex around you, and it helps you ascend to higher dimensional planes, higher frequencies. You can encode your Merkaba. So if this is your first time hearing about this, I suggest looking those up and maybe doing a guided meditation on Merkabas. You can also ask Melchizedek, Archangel Melchizedek, or Metatron to come in and help you like learn and understand these things. But you can encode your Merkaba and infuse it with affirmations, how you want to feel, ask it to transmute lower, denser energies, things that you're trying to let go of that are not serving you. Like when you get in the shower, and I keep on saying shower, if you shower in the morning time, because water is an amplifier and it's a clearer. But you don't have to be in the shower. Before you start your day, you can envision that your body is inside of a Merkaba and program it with the things that you want to bring in, or ask it to help you transmute things. So you can put yourself inside of a Merkaba, you can put the violet flame around you and ask it to help protect you, but those are beautiful ways to shield. If you are trying to work on a chakra specifically, like root chakra, solar plexus, let's take the root chakra. So if you're trying to work on your root chakra and like finances and stability and groundedness and feeling like love from others and safe in your relationships, you can envision that there is a big ball of red energy around you, and that can be a protection form. I highly, highly suggest putting up shields before you go out into the public. Even if you work from home and you are dealing with people like customer service, if you put shields, energetic shields around you, it will completely change your interactions with people. You have power over your own energy body. You tell your energy body what you want it to do. And so intentions are so very important. What you intend, it doesn't matter what the thing is. If you pour your intention into it, that's what charges it with your energy. That's how oracle cards work. That's how tarot cards work. That's how crystals work. Like crystals have their own healing abilities, but when you couple that with these are my intentions, it amplifies it like 1,000-fold, 1,000,000-fold. And so things like that with shielding, you do the shielding, right, as a way for your subconscious to know I'm protected, your soul and your spirit. You pour it in with your intentions, And that's where you are able to protect yourself. Okay, so shielding, shielding, shielding. It doesn't matter what your shield is. It could be a big giant rose quartz love bubble. It could be the chakras. It could be a Merkaba. It could be a mirror wall. A mirror wall. I used to do a mirror wall and reflect back to people like what they're sending me. I don't do that anymore because I don't want to still send ill. Like if somebody's sending me ill intent, I don't want to send ill intent back to them because that's creating bad juju. Okay. So what I do instead is like I say if there's anybody that is sending me ill intent, I am transmuting that and through the earth, through Gaia and Source, and sending them back love, compassion, and care, right? Because we're not trying to create more dense energy karma, okay? Not saying to let people, you know, treat you any type of way. Just, you don't have to send ill intent back. Okay, so crystals. Crystals are a great way to help ground yourself, to help transmute energies, to protect yourself. Like, and we'll talk about crystals a little bit more. I have some specifically like a starter pack for Lightworkers and Starseeds. Pocket charms. Oh, so I was going to say you can carry crystals in your pocket. It'll help you feel more safe and grounded and protected, maybe invoking more feelings of peace and serenity and calm. Pocket charms are great. So let me show you my pocket charms. And then I'm going to have to end this live and get on my other device because this one is dying. Okay, so this one is the Eye of Horus. So I have programmed this and asked it to help build a extra layer of protection around my etheric body. And then these are my lotus, and then my namaste here. Okay, so I ask them, program them, ask them, work with them to help bring me feelings of peace and serenity and calm and peace of mind. And so I put them in my pockets or I work with clients with them. Like I build chakra grids for my clients, and then I'll work with these charms to help like amplify those feelings. But you can encode and program those. You can encode and program your like earrings or your jewelry, right? So like these. So this one here, this is a daisy. My dog's name is Daisy. But it reminds me that life is about growth. Okay? And then this one, this is the yin yang. So this reminds me that we have to, like, it's dualism. We have to have the shadow to see the light and the light to see the shadow. And so when I wear these and I look at them, it helps remind me of those things. Okay? And then I have other jewelry that I've encoded. You can encode your nose rings or like eyebrow rings, like anything. Okay, necklaces. Ask it what you want it to do, right? Make sure you always thank your things that you're working with too, like your crystals or your decks or your charms. Like, say thank you to them. They're their own consciousness forms. Okay. All right. So I am going to end. This is going to be part 1 of class. So I'm going to end this one, and then I'm going to get on my other device because this one's dying. So I will be back on in just a moment, and then we're going to get into clearing. Okay. So I will see everybody shortly.